name is Shayla, and about 1 year ago, I woke up in the morning and I had a certain pain that I had experienced about 10 years prior. Assuming that it was the same condition that I had, it was cysts on my ovaries, and so I called the doctor and I said, same situation's going on, I probably just need to have them removed and nothing more. So I went in and had an ultrasound done and there were no cysts. After that, there was a cancer scan. It's called CA125. It's a marker, and it came back elevated. After that, we did biopsies of the ovaries and the uterus, and the area that they took the biopsy in came back negative, but my cancer marker kept raising. So we went to another test, which was the hereditary gene testing for cancer, and another marker came up in my colon for mutated cells. So at that point, I then went to a whole other blood panel, and my doctor called me back in and said, we need to have you see an endocrinologist. So I went and saw her, and she said, you have an abundance of prolactin coming from your brain, which is from the pituitary gland, so we need to do an MRI on you. So I had a brain MRI done, and that came back showing adhesions and tiny brain tumors. We then decided that possible brain surgery might have to happen if these tumors were not under control. And that was a lot to take in all at once, because this all happened within a couple of months' time. I'm kind of facing all these different realms of cancer words being thrown out there. Right after that, my uncle suddenly passed away, and I was at the funeral, and I started having sharp pains along the top part of my back and down my arms, and I thought, I'm under such an amount of stress. This is probably where it's coming from. And so after the funeral, I started having dizzy spells, and I thought I was going to pass out, so I drove myself to the ER, and they did an EKG on me, and they said, you need to go see a cardiologist. So I went down, and they did an ultrasound and another EKG, and they said I had a prolapsed mitral valve in my heart. Sorry. So at that time, I didn't really know what to think about all of these diagnoses, and then with my heart. So I called into work and I went home. And I just sat there and I got really angry at God. Death just started to take over my thoughts, and fear started to just run through me. And I was thinking, I have kids, where are my kids gonna go? What's gonna happen to me? Well, 2 days later was church. And I remember laying there going, I just can't go, I can't even get out of bed. And when the Lord presses on me, and there's nothing I can do to get away from it. So I said, okay, I'll get up and I'll go to church, but I'm not gonna look pretty, I'm gonna smell weird, and I'm not gonna be happy. But I went, and the kids went, and during worship, I could not stand to just be standing. I had to sit down. I was in so much pain. And right then, Pastor John came up to the podium and in the middle of worship, and he said, the Lord has spoken to me, and that there are some of you in here that need healing today, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, you need healing, and so we're gonna pray for you. And I remember jumping up to my feet with my hand raised high, and everyone laid hands and prayed on us. And I just stood there, and I remember starting to cry. And then I started sobbing, because I realized that the pain that I had experienced up until that point was gone. 2 days later, I was at dinner in the middle of a conversation, and I had the most horrific pain. I went to a different hospital, this time in the area that I was in, and within minutes of explaining to the staff and the doctor what I was experiencing, they immediately did a CAT scan of my uterus, and they found a 3.5-pound tumor in my uterus. And the doctor said, if you don't have surgery right away, if this detaches, you could bleed to death internally. After that, I went into surgery. They removed the tumor. I was called in to make an appointment to come back in. Now, during that time, I'd had another brain MRI. I'd had another ultrasound for my heart. I had blood panels almost every day for 2 weeks, just constantly trying to find out what could have gone wrong and what it is that's attacking my system. I went to the first doctor, which was the gastrologist, for the colonoscopy for the mutated cells. I walked in and he sat me down and he said, I don't know where this went, I don't know how this happened, but you no longer have mutated cells and your colonoscopy came out completely clean. I went to the OBGYN and she said, I don't know how to really explain this, but all of the tissue was intact. The cancer did not branch out. There were 5 of them. We don't know how to explain this. There's no other tissue in there. We took out the tumor. Everything is clean. You were completely clean bill of health with no radiation and no chemo. I went to the endocrinologist next. She said, I don't know how to explain this, but your prolactin in your brain went from 38.6 down to 0.10. And the tumors are gone. I truly knew that this was me being touched by the Lord. With him saying, child, I have you. You're gonna be okay, but you will go through tests in life and there will be circumstances that you have to face, but always know I will be there with you, always, no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the outcome.